I guess we just want to start by saying thank you so much for taking the time to do this. It's a really cool moment for both of us because you are the very reason that we fell in love with the sport of gymnastics in the first place.
Oh, no way.
So yeah, we watched the 2004 Olympics. Actually, we watched trials too, but we were like obsessed with the Olympics, and we had like a VHS tape. We recorded it, and we watched it like every single day.
Yeah.
To the point where like it became a punishment with our mom. Like if we did something wrong, she would take away the 2004 Olympics.
Oh my gosh, that's amazing.
We have like all of the commentary from the all-around final memorized, like even like little background noises, like people sneezing, like we have everything memorized. That's how many times we've watched it. So we're big fans.
Oh, well, I love it. Thank y'all.
Yeah.
Awesome.
It means a lot that you're taking the time to do this, so we appreciate
Yeah,
it.
of course, of course.
So, in honor of the Olympics coming up, we want to talk about your Olympic experience and kind of everything that led up to it. So, starting with 2003 World Championships, your very first World Championships, you had 3 teammates go out, had to withdraw from the meet, and then you were also dealing with an injury yourself during that meet. So, despite all of that, you guys still went out there and won gold, the very first ever gold medal for Team USA at a World Championship. So, how was that experience for you?
Yeah, that was a pretty crazy one for sure. And that's probably one of my most favorite memories and competitions from my career because of all of that adversity that we faced. It was crazy because, yeah, Ashley Postel got sick with the flu right when we got there. So she was out, and then Anya tore her ACL, and then Courtney tore her Achilles. And then, yeah, I was still dealing with a fractured elbow and was, I don't know, maybe like 50%. I didn't, I wasn't going to give up my spot to compete and being in elbow pain and everything else. And I was just like, I told my coach, I was like, we're not going to go to the doctor. I don't want to know what's going on. I want to compete. We're going to do everything me and you can to, make this elbow work. And yeah, like I've worked way too hard and way too long for this moment, and I am not giving it up, and I felt so bad for the other girls that, really couldn't compete. And so, at that point, I think we could have all just kind of mentally checked out and thrown in the towel and been like, you know what, we have no shot. Like we've lost half of our team, or most of our team. And we had to bring in every alternate we had. And I think we could have just gotten really bummed and thought like, you know what, this guess it's not going to be our year, but I think really truly like coming together as a team when gymnastics is, such an individualized sport for the most part. But I think coming together as a team and really lifting each other up and pushing each other to do our very best in that competition. I think you could just see the hunger and the want in everybody's face in that competition, in that team competition, especially, that we are going to leave it all out on the mat, whatever we had left. And that's exactly what we did. And luckily we had, really deep US team too at that point. So bringing in those alternates, they were just as amazing. And so we were really able to just rally together in the face of all of that adversity and, yeah, and still make history and, be that first women's US team to win the gold. So it was pretty amazing. And as you can see, probably why now one of my favorite, memories from my career.
So, when did you actually fracture your elbow? Was it before Worlds or was it during?
It was before. I don't remember exactly how long before it was, but I was having a lot of elbow pain. And, as an elite level athlete, you are, always dealing with aches and pains and little things that you just kind of have to push through and they'll get better. But this just wasn't getting better. It was getting worse. And so we finally were like, okay, let's go to the doctor, see what's going on. But we were really, really close to World Championships. It was like, I think we were probably a little bit before 6 weeks, but we were getting real close. And then when the doctor kind of like dropped that bomb that like, hey, your elbow's fractured and you need 6 weeks off. And we were like, oh,
You're like, that's not going to work.
Exactly what we said. We're like, that's not going to work, doc. So kind of created our own plan. And we did give it a few weeks of some good rest, but we just tried to kind of like, do a little bit less than what he had told us to do and make it work. And luckily it did, but it did come back home, and it was definitely fractured, and
Mm.
ligaments were unattached. And so yeah, competing on a broken elbow and everything else was pretty crazy. But um yeah, then went in to have that surgery, and got a couple screws and ligaments reattached here, and 3-month recovery, until I was able to do routines and all of my skills and stuff again. And yeah, that was actually a scary moment though, because we were less than a year away before the Olympics at that point, and you need every minute and moment to prep and prepare for the Olympics. And so it was kind of like, oh my gosh, I never dealt with a surgery, or having to come back from something like that, or an injury like that. So it was a little bit scary. I didn't know if I was gonna still have trouble with my elbow, or if I was gonna come back and be able to do the same things, and be the same Carly. And luckily came back better and stronger than ever, with the help of doctors and my coach and all of that. So
Yeah. Well,
yeah.
despite all of that, you going into 2004, you were one of the favorites, I would say, because you got silver at Worlds the year before, a two-time American Cup champion. You ended up becoming the national champion in 2004. So, did that like help you? Did you like the pressure, or did you feel like it was a lot to handle, kind of going into that Olympic cycle, being the one, at least in the United States, that everyone was kind of, watching?
Yeah. I did like the like knowing that I was one of the favorites. I think that was just a little bit of a help in pushing me, and knowing that I was good enough to compete with all those girls and from other countries and everything. But at the same time, after Olympic trials and falling twice, or both days on beam, people kind of stopped talking about me. And it was like, oh, I don't know if Carly can come back from that. And the focus then kind of became on both Courtney's, because they went 1 and 2 in trials, and I tied, but like I, for whatever reason, the rule breaker tie or something, I was like not the one named to the team automatically,
Yeah.
like those first 2 spots. And so um it ended up being a blessing in disguise that it took some pressure off me, because I did go back home after that, and I didn't have the media and newspapers and whatever like up in the gym trying to do all these little spots and film and stuff. So it was kind of like I was able to go back to the gym and just focus on what had happened at trials, and how to not make that happen again, and just get mentally prepared and strong for the actual Olympics. So it was, I liked that, but at the same time, and to answer your question, like too, I was super mad. Like I wanted to be named on that spot, and just have that already behind me. Like, okay, I'm on the Olympic team, whatever. I don't have to worry about it.
Right.
But like I said, it ended up being such a blessing in disguise that at the moment and at the time I was mad, and I hated that. But looking back, I was like, that was great. That was a blessing.
Yeah, a
That.
blessing in disguise.
Mhm,
So I wanted to ask you about how the team was announced, because a lot of people have a lot of opinions on this, because it was done on live TV and the cameras were kind of focusing on the girls who didn't make it. And of course, you kind of got the better end of the deal having made the team, but I still wanted to know your perspective on that, and also what you were thinking and feeling during that. Was there like nerves for you, thinking like, what if I don't make it?
yeah, absolutely. It was kind of a terrible way to do it. It was very like climactic and anticlimactic at the same time, because um we were at the ranch, and it was just like this not a great setting.
They
You
had
know,
like these bleachers sitting out for you guys to sit on.
yeah. Yeah, and you're like, what am I watching? But to just then see like from previous ones and what they do now, to like have that big celebration at trials, and like they call the girls up that make it, right, and they're all right there on the floor. They do confetti, the crowd, whatever. um and we didn't have any of that. It was like they were literally like, we were all sitting on the floor like watching them debate and talk, like we could see them through the window.
Yeah.
And we're just like, what are they saying in there, like who's going to make the team? And once again, like I said before, we had such great depth. So we could have made several Olympic teams, I feel like, in 2004. And so, you are always wondering, like you think you have a spot on that team, but you're not for sure, and you're not saying you do until they officially call your name, right? And so we're all waiting, and we that once they finally like call the team, call your name, you want to celebrate, you want to be excited and happy and show those emotions, but yet you're then surrounded by all the girls right next to you that did not get their name called, that you were training with. Like my best friend and training partner was Holly, and she didn't get called. And just all the other ones that did not get a position. And so it was such a weird feeling of like, I want to be excited, but I'm like devastated for these other girls and for my teammate. And I don't know how to celebrate, how to show it. Like, do I act excited? Do I not act excited? So yeah, it was kind of terrible.
I'm glad they don't do it like that anymore. Just first of all, just for like almost the privacy and the respect of the athletes. But then also I feel like when you make an Olympic team, like you want a big moment like they have now where the confetti's falling and the crowd is like screaming for you. And yeah, I feel like your like Olympic cycle, it was just weird. And I'm like who thought this was a good idea? It was set up like a suspenseful drama. And then you're like watching the girls that didn't make it. And then the girls that did. And it's like, are we supposed to be happy? Are we supposed to be sad? No one knows.
Yeah, like totally trying to capitalize on just like that drama and just those emotions and feelings. And it was, that was not good. That was not fun.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad that they learned their lesson because they haven't done it again since.
Yeah, exactly.
So once you made the team, I guess what was your schedule like from that moment until the Olympics? Like as far as like your training and kind of like preparing for the Olympics, what was your schedule like, if you can remember?
Yeah, I know it's getting quite in the rear view mirror here. So, my schedule is pretty much about the same, I want to say. Still training probably just as many hours or, close to it. We're obviously in the summer, so like I didn't have school. So I might have done like, it was still probably about 7 hours of training every day.
Did you guys leave for Athens basically right after the team was announced, or did you stay and do like a training camp? Because I know like recent years, they've all stayed at the ranch and they do like a training camp and then they leave. Did you guys do that?
Yeah, we did. I think I want to say we went home. Can't believe I can't totally remember this anymore. I want to say we went home first for like 2 weeks, and trained for like 2 weeks back in our gym. And then we went back to camp and then trained another like 2 weeks there and then left for Athens altogether. Okay. So yeah, I think that was what the plan was like.
Okay.
So just a couple more weeks to get ready on your own before coming together as like the Olympic team and then getting ready kind of in that way.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's nice too that you got to see your family a little bit before you left for the Olympics, because now it's like you make the team and then you're gone for like a month or more, depending on the appearances and stuff after. So it's nice that you got to see your family and stuff too, probably before you actually left for the Olympics.
Absolutely, for sure. I'm a big homebody, and so it was important to be able to just get that last bit of support and that feeling from like my mom and my sister, who, we all lived in Texas, and so it was good to see them and be with them like right before leaving, because you don't get to see them for a while, and it's a lot. It's a lot when you're that young.
So did your whole family get to go to Athens to watch you?
My mom went, and her three sisters and like a distant like third cousin or something that I didn't even know.
How did they get invited?
You know what? My mom and sisters, and my mom's family, like they always said if I ever made the Olympic team, like when I was young and still living in Louisiana, like you're thinking, okay, there's no way this girl's going to actually ever make the Olympics, right? So they're promising all these things, and I'm, young. And they're like, if you make the Olympics, Carly, we will be there. We are going, whatever. And so they just were fulfilling their promise.
Yeah.
They all awesome. Happen, and they, Yeah, they bunked up together and got to do all the fun stuff in Greece while I was training and competing and
Yeah.
having all the nerves. They were like sightseeing and having wine on a patio and all those things.
Yeah. So, what was the feeling for the team as you guys were heading into team finals? Obviously, you were the reigning world champions. Was there kind of an expectation that you guys were going to win the golds?
Yeah, I think so. Coming off of that worlds and knowing what we are capable of for sure. And I think we were all feeling that pressure too, to kind of deliver and to, keep that going and win the gold. And I for sure definitely felt that pressure and wanted that for all of us. And um, it was that was the most pressure filled night for me for sure, just because you didn't have the hopes and dreams of just yourself on your shoulders. You had the hopes and dreams of your other teammates too, and
Right.
I think we were all feeling that, and so I think that's kind of what one of the things that caused me to make some uncharacteristic mistakes that night.
Mhm.
And because yeah, instead of just going out there and doing what I knew how to do and not thinking about other people or just the pressure from others, just like going out there focusing on me, I think I was yeah, I let the nerves get to me on team night for sure. um and then the rest of the time I was like, I can't do that. Like, I gotta let that go. That is not working well for me. So um yeah, that was tough, because you're thinking like, oh man, we won. You want to be excited because you won the silver medal in the team at the Olympic Games, like that's amazing, right? And then we're all like sitting there like kind of pissed because we know we didn't go out there and all do the performances that we were totally capable of. And so yeah, and then like coming off worlds and stuff too, and I think we were all pretty dead set on like, we can do this, we can win the gold, we're going to go out there and win the gold, and then for it to not happen, we're all pretty disappointed, I think.
Yeah. Well, it is hard because like any Olympic medal is a huge accomplishment. But then
Yeah,
I do feel like the media and sometimes even probably the coaches, they put a lot of pressure on you guys to win gold at any meet you go to.
Especially when you're coming in as a world champion.
Yeah, it's like
Like,
there's this
right,
expectation that you're going to win. So yeah, that's a hard feeling, I would imagine, because like a silver medal at the Olympics is still a really big deal, but then you also
right.
feel like all this pressure from everyone else, like you better win. Gold is the only thing that matters.
Yeah, that's a lot of pressure and a lot of expectation to have on your shoulders for sure. So um yeah.
So moving on to the day of the all-around final, what do you remember about that day, like outside of the competition? So like waking up in the morning, knowing it is like going to be one of the biggest days of your life, whether you won or you didn't win, like it was a pretty big day regardless. Do you
Yeah.
remember anything about what you were feeling that morning as you got ready for the competition?
Yeah, I was, we got up that morning and went and had a practice. And practice didn't go well. And I didn't sleep well that night before either. It was hard to fall asleep. And, we had roommates, so you hear every little breathing or snoring or tick or talk or whatever. And I just, my brain probably going 90 to nothing that night, thinking about, the bigness of that next day. So yeah, got terrible sleep. Like my coach knew it immediately when we met to, go for the training. And he was like, Carly, oh my, like about my dark circles under my eyes. So I was so tired. He's like, what happened? I was like, I did not sleep good.
Oh
Um,
no.
yeah. So he was like, it's gonna be okay. Like he just reassured me, like, that doesn't matter. It's fine. We're gonna get a training in. And when we're done, like, I want you to go take a nap. Um, and we're gonna wake up and we're gonna do it, and so that's what I did. And like I said, I didn't have a great training, which is one of those things too where you want to have a great training, so that way you're like feeling super confident going into that night. And
Right.
you're like, I got this. But I just trusted what he said. And I remember going back after the workout, got a good lunch and took my nap, um and felt felt good. Like I felt refreshed and ready to go when I woke up and was getting ready, putting the glitter in my hair and the leotard on and the USA warm-ups on. And I remember calling my mom too to just get some last minute just encouragement. And so that really helped as well. And she's like, just go out there and do what you know how to do. You got this. And and I've I've joked about this before too, but like getting on the bus, putting my Ashley Simpson CD in my Discman, and
It's so 2004.
right. It's so it. It's like, tell me it's not 2004 without telling me it's, or whatever I'm saying it.
I know all of the young listeners that are listening to this are going to be like, what is that?
Exactly. What's a Discman? What's a CD? And who is Ashley Simpson?
Yeah, all three. Yep.
Lots of things known in that sentence, right? So yeah, was getting pumped up to my music and stuff, and then our bus broke down on the highway, and
Oh, really?
yeah,
I didn't know this.
yes, our bus broke down on the Athens highway on our way. It starts smoking, and so we're all like, and like Khorkina's on there, and me and Courtney and Zaynan from China, like all of kind of like our rotation group was like
Yeah.
on that bus, and we're kind of all looking around like, okay, it's smelling like smoke's flying back through the windows and everything else. So they pull over and we all have to get out, and we're on the side of the highway, waiting for
Svetlana was
the
probably
bus to
pissed.
come. Oh, for sure. Oh, yes, for sure. And I was like on the side with my, once again, disposable camera, which they'd be like, what's that? Taking pictures like we're hitchhiking, just trying to make light of the situation, me and Courtney, and trying to like laugh it off, because at the same time, we're like, okay, well, like we got to get to the arena, like warm-ups are going to be starting, and we're not going to have that time to just kind of like rest for a second, take it all in before we got to like get going. But once again, I think that probably ended up being a blessing in disguise to just get in there and like get going. And that was one of those things that like took you're like, wait, how does your bus break down at the Olympics on your way to the biggest night of your life? Like, right. Who can make that up? But it was one of those things where it was like I think it could either be a good distraction if you let it, or a bad distraction. And for me, it ended up being a good distraction because it just took my mind off of all of that pressure and what we were like on our way to go do. And so I think it ended up being a big help, and especially, like I said, making light of the situation, and not taking it like this, oh my gosh, like, are we gonna make it, or
Yeah.
whatever else. So we get there, and we were right into warm-ups and like getting going. Like we had to wait for our bus for a little bit in the heat. So it was kind of crazy.
I couldn't imagine. That is so crazy. I know, like out of all the meets in your life to have that happen, of course it's the Olympic all-around final.
Yeah, of course it would be. I mean, that's how life works.
Gonna try and throw you off.
Yeah, exactly. Life's throwing you some curveballs,
Yep.
What are you gonna do with it?
So can you walk us through the meet as much as you remember of it, and kind of what you were thinking and feeling as the meet was progressing? And did you kind of have a sense of where the meet was headed?
Yes, I was watching the standings, the scores, everything the whole time. I, wanted to know where I was at, what scores I needed to get, if that was possible on that event, and so starting on vault, I did a great vault, but my foot landed out of the white line. And so I knew that was going to be, not a good a bad deduction, and not help me in the score that I needed to get on vault, just kind of like help out for the rest of the night. Right. So, I was pretty pissed about that. But Afghani always taught us to never take a mistake or a fall or a bad routine into um, the next event or to the next competition. Always look at that next thing as a fresh start.
Yeah.
But that's a little bit easier said than done. So, we move on to bars, try to forget about it. And I know if I had a clean routine on bars, bars was never my strong event, but I had a decent routine. And I knew if I hit a clean routine, that was going to help out. And so I did. felt really great about my bar routine. And then going into beam, that gave me a little bit of confidence too. I'm like, okay, 2 rotations down. Beam was my best event, my favorite event. And it's my opportunity to, go out there, do a great routine, and hopefully, nail the Patterson dismount. That was my beam dismount. And, hopefully impress the judges a little bit. And so I just remember going up there and, looking at all the judges, kind of like taking a deep breath before, I knew I was going to salute. And I saw our USA judge, but she wasn't. And I was like, I mouthed to her, I was like, "Are you judging?" And she was like, "No." And I was like my heart kind of sank for a second, because I was like, "Oh my God, I have no USA judges. Well, that sucks," And later she found me after that routine, after the competition. She was like, "I knew you were gonna totally nail it after you just like started mouthing to me, right before you're about to go up on beam." Just like, "I knew you were totally fine." But I was like, yeah, I started kind of freaking out for a second. But anyways, went up there and did the beam routine of my life. Like, I don't know much I could have done differently. And stuck the Patterson, which was
Yeah,
like
it's
the
literally
most.
flawless. Still to this day, like best ever.
Well, thank you. Yeah, I mean, that was one of the coolest moments. The coolest moment of that night, to be able to like go out there and stick, the roundup back handspring double Arabian, and like knowing how difficult that skill is, and like knowing that it was my skill, and to just go out and stick it when it mattered most, and kind of do that routine of your life when it mattered most. So that gave me a lot of confidence, just kind of going into floor and to just finish strong. And I was actually up last to go in the competition. So that was pretty nerve-wracking, because I had to watch everybody else go and everybody else finish their routines and kind of get to take a breath of relief while I still had to go. And then by that time too, I'd calculated the exact score that I needed to get on floor to win gold that night. And then knowing like the millions of people that were watching. So it was just like, no pressure. Yeah, just go up there and do it. You're fine. And yeah, I mean, I had been hitting pretty good floor routines the whole time I was there. And like, I knew that I was capable of the score I needed to get. So if Gainey was like, just go out there, have fun, and stay in bounds, like, that's what you need to do. I'm like, okay. So yeah, that's what we did. And I did same thing, like felt like that was one of the best floor routines I'd ever done and could have done, right in the moment when it needed to happen. So, walking off the podium and kind of like waiting those few minutes to see what my score was, and if we did it or not. You kind of think you did, but you got to wait, maybe the judges saw something you didn't know you did, or whatever.
Yeah.
So that felt like, those couple minutes felt like a couple hours. And then like the score comes up and like, boom, see your name, Carly Patterson, USA #1, like, and it's just one of the most surreal and incredible moments of your life. And like, if Gainey lifted me up and it had me on his shoulders and we were waving, waving to the crowd in the arena. And it was just like so amazing to see people like waving the American flag throughout the arena and chanting USA after, doing something like that. It was like, wow, it would, I mean, it's kind of indescribable moment, but
Yeah.
one
I
that,
know.
is like ingrained in me forever.
I couldn't even imagine a moment like that. How long did it take for it to sink in though? Like, did it take like a long time for it to actually like settle in? Like, I actually did that.
Or did you wake up the next day and you're like, wow, I did that?
No, it took a while to sink in. It really did. I think being 16, being so young, and just gymnastics always being my #1 focus, and that having that goal, but then accomplishing it, and then you're kind of like, oh, well, what does that mean? Now what? Like, I really did that, what's next? But it was that night was a crazy night, and I had to go straight into doing just all kinds of interviews, and so you're just kind of like on this adrenaline rush and high from winning and from that night. And you know I don't know what time I finally was able to go to bed that night, but yeah, I think just going to sleep, and I was like, I really don't think I realized what I did. And I knew I still had beam finals 2 to go. So it was one of those things that like, I think I just put it out of my head. I was like,
Yeah.
awesome, another competition down, got another one to go, and like kind of didn't really let myself think about it too much. And then when I got home, I think that's when it really did hit me then. Just like getting to the airport and arriving and like having all the media and cameras in your face and interviews and all of that just right there as soon as you got home. And that's when it kind of hit, and doing all of the major talk shows and things like that was just like, okay, like cool, like people care about what I did. I just thought it was something I was doing for me. And I didn't have see anybody else like before me win an Olympic all around gold. So like I didn't know what to expect. So I just thought it was like cool. I was gonna go back home, go back to the gym, keep training. I don't know. I was still in high school. And so then life just completely changed. So it was all, fun and icing on the cake after that. But I had no clue what to expect and what it truly meant and all of that.
Did you get to see your family that had come to Athens? Did you get to see them after you won, or did you have to wait a little bit?
I got to see him that night, just kind of like right outside the arena, and just give him a quick hug. And I showed them my medals, and just long enough to like have a quick cry together and squeeze, and then it was off to interviews. And so then I saw them once we were like officially done.
Yeah.
Mhm.
How often do you go back and relive that whole experience? Like, I know last year, I think it was the Olympic Channel, like re-aired a lot of the Olympics, and yours was one of them.
Yeah.
And you did
Yeah.
Instagram Live, and you got Evgeny on. So I saw that, but was that like the first time you had watched it in a while, or do you frequently watch your successes? Do you pull out your medals and your leotard and just admire everything?
Oh my gosh, no time for that around here with 3 kids, 3 and under. That's for sure. No, quite honestly, I forget that gymnastics and what I did seems like such a lifetime ago. And my life is so different now that it's just like when I do watch it, or, for whatever reason, it's just like a reminder of like, oh my gosh, I did do that. Like, I can't believe I did that. That's really awesome. But that was the first time, last year, that I did watch it like that in its entirety. And that was super fun, especially because I got Evgeny to answer the phone, and then we like FaceTimed after it was all done, like till I don't know what time, with him and his wife, and we were just laughing and reminiscing, and it was pretty fun. But I mean, I do motivational speaking now. And so I do have the whole floor routine clip in that moment of winning and receiving my medal as a video kind of towards the end when I'm explaining the whole night. And so I do get to watch it when I speak, which is always a cool moment. And, it doesn't ever get old. It doesn't. Like, it's really, really cool. And I think sometimes I forget that, and I forget to kind of appreciate what I've done, because like I said, my life looks so different now, and gymnastics is just not like in the forefront anymore for me. And so when I do get to look back, it's pretty amazing.
Yeah. Well, and it's like you also probably don't realize in that moment how many people you're inspiring. Because even like us, for example, like she did gymnastics for like a short period of time. I never did. So like we're not like people that like did gymnastics growing up. We were literally just fans our entire life. And it was because of you. It was watching you at the Olympics and the Olympic trials. And so it's like you've got people into gymnastics, not even because they wanted to be gymnasts, but just because they were so like interested in the sport and just like captivated by it. So it just reach that you have, even sometimes, back in like 2004, where there wasn't like the internet wasn't as big, and like we didn't even have internet.
No.
I would go to school. I'm in like elementary school, and I'd go and I'd print out pictures of you, and just like I'd have like a book of just photos I printed out at school. I was just like obsessed.
I love it. I know. I mean, times were so different. We did not have all of the social media. And honestly, I'm thankful. I mean, the pressure that the girls have to deal with now, and just I don't know, the way things are these days, it's crazy. And so I'm really glad that I did not have to deal with all that noise and pressure and extra stuff. And I was really able to like focus on myself and gymnastics and just doing what I loved. But yeah, it's amazing that, when people would come up to me, or, even just still like a DM here and there, something that like I inspired them or still inspire them, is really awesome and rewarding, and something I cherish and, think is very special to still hear. And like that kind of a thing never gets old either. It's just, um, if I can inspire anybody by what I did then, or, how I live my life now, I think that's amazing. And I'm happy to kind of like have that role.
I'm sure you get asked this a lot, but I feel like I have to ask you about Svetlana Khorkina because everybody is just so fascinated by her. Do you have any like funny stories or any interesting stories, anything with Svetlana that you could tell the people? Because I feel like people would just love to hear a really good Svetlana story.
You know, I don't really have like, I have one, but this is, really only one, but I feel like she always, I looked up to her. Like I thought she was really cool. And, being able to compete against her in my elite career was, pretty crazy, because she was the main, she was the one everybody knew. The judges knew her. Like she was kind of this diva and queen in gymnastics at the time. And, she would definitely try to use like intimidation tactics, I feel like, but luckily me being like this naive little 16-year-old girl, like, and I was just out there like doing what I loved and didn't care if she cut eyes at me or like, said something or whatever. It was like, whatever, I'm just doing what I love here. Like, you're not intimidating me, even though you're trying. I just feel like she would always give looks, kind of a thing. And, but after the Olympics, after Olympic all around night, after winning, and we were in a press conference together, like me, her, and Zhangnan.
Yeah, I always pronounce it Jen.
Okay. And we were all together doing interviews, and the press is asking us questions and stuff, and Svetlana's talking in Russian, and so I don't know what she's saying when she's answering questions. But Evgeny, obviously my coach, is from Russia and speaks Russian. So basically after that press conference, he's like, yeah, she was telling the media that she won gold. So, and that like, she was the one that won gold. She was the real Olympic champion, blah, blah, blah. And,
the audacity
yeah,
to go to a press conference and say that in front of you. It's not even like she's saying it and you're not around.
Right.
That makes it okay. But like the fact that she did that in front of you is just horrid.
Yeah. That was kind of like, her personality, like, with even like competing against her, kind of what I said, like she just had that way about her and like attitude that, she was going to try and get to you, and I think that's what she was trying to do. But girl, I don't speak Russian, so I don't know what you're saying. And we just kind of had a good laugh about it after the fact, because that was what was said in like the Russian press too, like the next day, like from her interviews and stuff. And so Gainey and I were like, well, I don't think so, because the gold medal's in our hands. So
right. And also you
can tell what you need to say, girl.
Google it, and like the internet is going to pull up who won the 2004 Olympics. I don't know if she knows that, but your name is there, not hers.
Yeah. So that's my one funny Svetlana story that I have. But
one more quick one. I don't know if you've been asked this before, but there's this picture of you guys on the medal stand, and she's like pointing to your medal. Do you remember what was happening there? She's saying, "That's mine. Give it to me."
Yeah, that's what you'd think. Yes, she was trying to tell me how to hold it the proper way.
Oh, okay. Okay.
So I was like, okay.
I mean, I guess in fairness, she probably was at that time very experienced with winning medals. We'll give her that. But...
Right. So yeah, I mean, I didn't think anything of it. I was like, okay, sure, yeah, let me change the way I'm holding my medal here, because Svetlana told me I'm doing it wrong.
What was, in your opinion, the coolest post-Olympics experience that you got to do? Because you were in Stick It, you were on like a bunch of TV appearances. What was the coolest thing for you?
I've always said being on the Wheaties box was one of the coolest things, because you look at the Wheaties box, and if you get to be on that, I feel like you've made it as an athlete. So that was a really, really cool thing. And then just kind of doing all of the the late night talk show rounds and, Letterman and Leno and Ellen and just all of those things and award shows and things that like I had never done before. Like, I don't know what that life was like or whatever. So, you feel like a celebrity for a little while, and it's fun to kind of live that life and get to do some fun things like that. But once again, I think I was still so young that like, I didn't even know what was happening.
Yeah.
I was just kind of enjoying the ride. And like I said, I didn't know any of those people were going to care to talk to me, or that was what was going to come next, or, receiving awards and being recognized for what I did and that kind of thing. Like I said, that was all just kind of icing on the cake because I had no clue what to expect. And just thought I was going to go back to the gym, go back to school, and keep living life the way I was living it.
Yeah.
But everything, definitely got turned upside down for sure. And it was fun for a little while.
So did you actually go back to school, or like your public school?
I did. And I wasn't in public school at that time, but I was in like a private school for athletes that kind of worked with our schedules of, being in the gym for however many hours. So
Okay.
yeah, I still had two more years of high school to finish after that.
So when did you actually retire? Because I know you were training for a little bit afterwards, but you obviously never competed again. So when did you actually, step away from the sport?
I officially retired when I was 18. So in 2006, I guess.
Mhm.
Yeah, I was still in the gym and, trying to keep some sort of shape for shows and things like that for a little while after. But my back was, I think a lot of people probably know this, but my back was just giving me a lot of trouble from bulging discs and just a lot of pain with that. And so basically my doctor was like, you know what, if you want to not worry about quality of life later on, like, I think it's best if you retire, if you're okay with that, like, think about that decision, whatever. But and I was like, after that, I was like, you know what, I kind of thought about it and I was like, I don't know what I'm gonna go for after this. I mean, I guess I could, but like, I think my back pain was so much that I was ready to just kind of be done and like let my back heal and feel better and normal again.
Mhm.
So
Was it hard for you to transition from like having such like a structured life and training and then kind of just living a life outside of gymnastics? Because I feel like that would be really hard. Like you spend your whole life doing like the same thing and then suddenly you're not doing it anymore. What was that like for you?
yeah, exactly. It was hard. And I would dare to say that most um, high level elite Olympic athletes go through that and go through that stage. It's just kind of probably something we all have to go through because you've done something since being a little girl, and that's kind of all I knew, and working towards these big goals and then finally accomplishing them and then wondering what's next, when you're not in the gym 24/7 and, constantly kind of being told what to do and like, okay, this is your assignment. This is how many routines we're going to do. This how many skills we're going to do, whatever. Like, you're constantly kind of just like, um, getting told what to do versus like now going out to the real world and kind of thinking for yourself and like making decisions on your own and like, okay, what is next for me and in my life, and what is my next passion going to be, and what do I want to do next? It was, yeah, it was definitely a time of like searching and um difficult because that fame of gymnastics and coming off the Olympics, that was all, really dying down. Like I said, I was back in school and like the next Olympics were coming up. And so it's just one of those transition periods where you kind of feel like down, and you just don't know what's next for you. And so, yeah, I definitely went through that and then decided to, start trying other things and, started trying a singing career and, went to college and, um, just kind of started trying to pursue other things and trying them out and see, what I was going to do next, what I was going to be passionate about next. And, and then I met my husband, Mark, who, now we're married and have 3 kids. And so, like I said, my life is completely different these days. And I think that's when life like really started to change for me too. And just after meeting him and getting married, and kind of like truly moving on from just, I don't know, previous life and
Yeah.
all of that, and just starting to focus on like, all right, building a family. Like this is a huge goal and dream that I'd always had as well, and so focusing on family and just raising good kids, and um, being a good mom and a good wife and having a good marriage, and all of those things.
Yeah.
And I guess that's what I'm moving on to, like a question you guys didn't even ask me, like, what are you up to now? Like,
We were going to ask you, don't worry. Do you still keep up with gymnastics today? Do you watch it all?
I do. I try to, and a little bit embarrassed to admit that I don't keep up with it as much as I'd like. Just like last weekend trying to watch championships. It's like I'm trying to watch it at the same time I'm trying to like feed kids, put the kids down for naps, for bed, for like whatever, like, and it's at all these times where it's like a really bad time for me to be able to like sit down and watch something and like keep up with it. So, but luckily we have, social media, and I'm able to kind of like scroll through and watch like the highlights of routines and things like that. Um, but yeah, it's so funny now because I would love to just be able to sit down and watch everything and keep up with everything and know who everybody is. But like at this point in my life, it's really difficult.
Yeah, I bet.
Yeah, I'll like rush back in. I'm like, oh, got to catch that routine. Okay, I gotta go do this. And so it's
Did you see Chelsea at all competing? Because she was your world teammate from 2003. Did you get to watch her at all?
Yeah, I did. And I watched her routines back on just through social media and stuff. And yeah, I've been following her journey too. This last however long she's been in the gym, and started posting about it. So it's been really cool to see her and to watch her, and amazing that like her body's allowing her to continue doing stuff that she did and things that she didn't even do yet as, an elite gymnast, however long that was ago. 16, 17 years.
9 years. Well, it was 9 years between when she retired in 2012. So she
Yeah.
took a little break, I think, after the 2008 Olympics, and then she came back, and then she retired, and then she came back 9 years later. So
Yeah. I can't imagine. I think that my head watching her, I'm always like, gosh, I could not do that right now. Like I couldn't imagine.
yeah, and she has two kids of her own.
Yeah. No. So super impressive and inspiring, and really, really cool, because I think she just what a cool story for gymnastics, and the time and everything, to just have like someone so positive and happy, and just really enjoying the sport and the love that she has for it. So to just go out there doing it for her, really, really cool to see.
Mm-hmm. And then I wanted to ask you about your experience with camps, national team camps, because your generation was like one of the first to actually have to go to camps every single month, and you had national team coordinator and stuff like that. Did you like all of that? Do you think that helped your gymnastics?
I didn't necessarily like love going there. I would have much rather just always gotten to stay home and train at my own gym. But I think some of the positives from my experience with going to camp was, um, getting to train with the girls that are on the national team that you didn't get to see, a lot of the times, or that you didn't get to train with a lot of the time. So I think um, that and training with them, I think that all helped us all to be better gymnasts, and to just kind of know what the other one was doing. So when we knew if we needed to like step up our game, or do upgrades or whatever, like I think we all pushed each other to just be better gymnasts and to be prepared and to be ready. And I think that's also what camp did for me, just because anytime we went there, you wanted to be prepared and ready and on your game, and you wanted to show your best, because you wanted to build trust in the selection committee. You wanted to build trust that you were gonna, that they could select you, and they could count on you, and they could trust that you were going to go out there and do a good job, right? So I think in that aspect, it definitely always helped keep me on my toes, and keep me prepared and ready. But like I said, was it my favorite place to go and have to do that? No.
You mentioned it briefly, but I wanted to ask you a little bit more about it. Your Patterson beam dismount, that still to this day is one of the hardest beam dismounts that's being done. And honestly, not that many people do it because it's that hard. And no one does it as well as you did it. Yeah. So for anybody that's listening that is either wants to be an elite gymnast, maybe we have some elite gymnasts listening, what is the like key to doing that skill so well? We want to hear from the innovator herself.
Gosh, I did a tumbling dismount for as long as I can remember. And I think that is what helped really do. I mean, that's what helped give me the power I needed for the double Arabian at the end. Like, I don't think I, could have done it near as well if I did it from a round off. Like doing it from that round off back handspring was like tumbling on the floor, and I did a single Arabian in my beam routine, and I did a double Arabian as a tumbling pass in my floor routine. So I felt like I was very comfortable and good at Arabians, double Arabians, that skill in general. And I did round up back handspring double back for so long, training that, one day we just decided, we're like, let's just try double Arabian. What do you think? And me being this kind of more so fearless gymnast of like, if my coaches wanted me to try something or asked me to try something, I would totally do it. And I just was like, and I think we knew that obviously if I could master this skill and get it put in my routine, that I would be the first to do it and, possibly get it named after me. And so I think that was a big incentive there as well to like make it happen. But I don't know, I just always felt really comfortable doing it. And, beam was my favorite event, was my best event. I always just felt really comfortable on beam and like I was kind of tumbling on the floor. So, it was, don't get me wrong, it was definitely a scary skill at times. There were those days where I was just like off for whatever reason and it was not working out. And I didn't like those days at all. But, for the most part, like I would just try and focus on like a good round out back handspring. And as long as I could get that, like straight over the top of the beam and get that power and that confidence going into the double Arabian, I knew that I would be fine on that second half of that. But yeah, it's pretty cool to think that is still like one of the hardest tricks that you can do. Like that, like really is something super cool for me.
I know, I can't even think of anyone who's currently competing that does that. I'm sure there is somebody that I'm just not thinking of at the moment. Like I know Allie Raisman did it.
Yeah,
there's been a few,
but no, you're right. You don't see it because it's very difficult and it's very risky, right? It's also like blind landing. Like it's not one of those easy stickable dismounts. And you're doing it after you're kind of tired at the end of your routine, and that's still takes a lot of energy and power, and it's a big skill to have to do at the end of a routine. And I don't think beam is a lot of people's best or favorite events. So I think to attempt a skill like that, or to kind of have that like in your routine, is going to be difficult, but I would love to see it done more. But yeah, it's super cool that it's stood the test of time.
Yeah, it truly has. You touched on this a little bit already as well, but just tell us what you're up to these days. I know you just had another baby in February, so congratulations.
Congrats.
What's mom life like, and what kind of things you up?
Oh gosh, you guys. Mom life is hard. It's pretty exhausting. But you know what? There was a lot of like struggle and pain and tears that went into trying to like get our family started, and and a lot of heartache. And so to have kind of gone through that time in our life, and now to look back and have 3 kids 3 years later, it's just like, you couldn't have told me that this is what my life would have looked like 4 or 5 years ago. I would have laughed and said, you're crazy. But it's just amazing. Like mom life, and just family life just, is really, truly the most rewarding thing I've ever done in my life. It is also the hardest thing I've ever done. I'm exhausted all the time. And that's partly due to having a newborn still. So, I mean, I'm still just not getting good sleep and waking up in the middle of the night and all that. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. It's true what they say. It's just the most rewarding and most exhausting thing at the same time. And, you know, my focus these days is just my kids and my husband and my family, and just, you know, like I said earlier, like raising good, respectable little human beings. And they're so cute. They all have their own little personalities and traits about them. And, you know, you just look at them and you're like, I made you, like, you were like, you know, to just have something that's like a part of you literally is just pretty crazy. But that, along with you know, motivational speaking, doing that, I've been doing that a lot lately, and that's picked up and been super fun. And to just be able to like share the life lessons and the skills and the things that I learned all growing up through gymnastics and just through life, even post gymnastics, to you know, to kind of be able to share those lessons that are really, you know, any high level athlete or professional athlete is that they've all got amazing stories and great lessons that they've learned along the way. They're applicable to anyone in doing whatever you're doing in life, whether you're a mom or, you know, an athlete yourself, or you're climbing the corporate ladder, like whatever it is, all of these lessons are great lessons to share with anybody, no matter what walk of life you're in or on. And so that's super fun for me to get to do that and to share my story. What else? Yeah, that's pretty much all I have time for right now, and
That's a lot.
for that.
You sound pretty
When
busy.
when I'm preparing for like a speech or something, I have to get up at like 4 a.m. before all the kids are up to like actually like get any time, like peace and quiet, because, you know, once kids are up, it's like the chaos ensues until they go to bed at night. There's no stopping.
Well, one last question for you. I guess, what advice would you give to all of the girls who are training for this summer's Olympics and trying to make that team? As somebody who has been there before and has been at the very top, what advice would you give to them?
You know, from the looks of it, I don't think any of these girls need any advice. They all look so poised and ready and prepared, you know, from what I've been able to watch. But it's, you know what, it's just one of those times where you just have to enjoy every moment, soak every moment in, trust in your training, trust your coaches. Um, you know, at this point, it's so mental that it's all about going out there and doing what you already know how to do. So, you know, taking that deep breath to release the pressure off of yourself and just going up there, doing what you do every single day in training. And, you know, I feel like that's probably been said time and time again, but it's just the truth. You know, you just have to go up there and do what you know how to do, what you do every single day. And not let that mental aspect get to you. And have fun, of course.
Yes.
But they all look, that's one of the really cool things about watching gymnastics too now, is like everybody looks like they're having a great time, and I just love it. So
yeah, it's a totally different, at least I think it's a totally different environment. I'm not obviously in it, so I don't know, but the girls do seem like they're enjoying themselves a lot more than in years past. So
yeah,
good to see.
Yeah, for sure.
Well, thank you so much for taking the time to come be on our show. We appreciate it so much. This has been like the coolest experience for us. I know. I was really nervous. Normally we don't get nervous really to interview people, but like you're literally our idol. So I'm like
oh my gosh.
me is like freaking out.
Oh, y'all are so sweet. Well, thank you. I appreciate you having me on. This was fun.